Tell me how the audio works. Tell me how the audio is. Somebody tune in. If somebody tunes in, let me know how the audio is. This phone been tripping. I'm gonna try this. If the audio not right, I'm gonna try another one. I don't want to start talking too deeply if the audio not right. But again, I'm putting this. Somebody watching this, let me know how the audio sound. Is the audio work? I want to start this by saying justice for Denzel, justice for Tyrus, justice for Jose, and justice for Faustin. Those are the 4 people who have been victims of, it's okay? All right. Those are the 4 people who have been victims of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice since October 2nd, 2020 to this day in 2021. 3 of those people are black. I cannot imagine what it must be like to be Denzel Duvant or to be a family member of Denzel Duvant on a day like today when, first off, multiple people are using this holiday to capitalize on the oppression of black people nationwide. But locally, I couldn't imagine being Denzel Duvant knowing that people are celebrating black liberation or celebrating the concept of black liberation through Juneteenth, as he has been a victim of the most recent version of black oppression, which is police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. I can't imagine being the family members of the people who have had loved ones slain by the Rockford Police Department, and then been paid out checks from the city of Rockford because of their loved ones being slain by the Rockford Police Department. I cannot imagine what it must be like to be them today, and to see one of the biggest Juneteenth gatherings that's taking place today have the emblem of the city of Rockford as a gold sponsor. The same money that they're giving to host this Juneteenth event is the same money that they give after one of their police officers lynches a black person in the streets. I want to say this too, the comments are off, so I won't see anybody's comments. If you say something erroneous, I'll just delete it later. You can have your own platform to speak. And I would encourage people too, this is another thing that's happening. A lot of people have felt, because of me coming out in my stance on this Juneteenth event that the city is sponsoring, that has the name of a racist white man, and that is what Tom McNamara is. He is a racist white man. To go to prove the fact that he is a racist white man, these memorials that we have up at Say Their Name Square, 16 memorials, 13 of which are black people who were murdered by the Rockford Police Department or Winnebago County Sheriff deputies or died in the custody of the Winnebago County Jail, all institutions which generate money for the city of Rockford. And again, and I hate to be on this type of time, but if you are not intellectually capable of being able to understand how the police department helps to fund the city, how mass incarceration helps to fund the city, how racial injustice helps to fund this city, then you need to log off and go find something else to do. All right, it needs to be people who are intellectually stable. People who are not intellectually stable enough to do that, you need to challenge yourself to become intellectually stable, and then return to this conversation, return to this live once you are qualified to listen to the live, and then to have a true response to it, as opposed to just going off of your natural emotion. Because this is another thing that I want to point out. There's not a thing that I've ever said or I have ever done in the context of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice. I'm not talking about it in the context of in the heat of a moment having a back and forth with somebody racist coming around, or having a back and forth with somebody in the heat of the moment. What I'm talking about is Facebook posts that I have made, things I have said on lives. All of these things are specific and to the point. Anytime that I've ever said or had a stance, or something has happened in which maybe I've changed my opinion on something, or I changed my perspective on something, I have went back and said that. So I don't want people to think that I'm saying these things without thinking them through, or I'm making these accusations without thinking them through. And so when I say that this Juneteenth, is it Juneteenth or is it Coonteenth, I say that because at the bottom of the flyer, It has the City of Rockford government as a sponsor on it, and the City of Rockford government just had me and another person another person arrested for protesting as the City of Rockford employees tore down memorials of black people. They then had no contact orders placed on me and Ari, so we can no longer be able to film them tearing down these memorials of black people. That is the City of Rockford's actions, and that is who they have decided to put at the bottom of this flyer. That is who they are taking money from to put on this event. Again, at the bottom of the flyer, it says Friends of Thomas McNamara. Thomas McNamara refuses to say the name of the black victims of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice in his city. Every year that passes, when where Jamie Cox and Eddie Patterson, the day where they both of their lives were taken, this city that is ran by racist Tom McNamara makes no post acknowledging Eddie Patterson. They say nothing to acknowledge Eddie Patterson, but they make sure to acknowledge Jamie Cox. So that's who they taking money from. That's the mayor that they have at the bottom of this event. Now, if you are not intellectually capable to understand how that is the definition of hypocrisy of Juneteenth, a government that is practicing the oppression of black people, a government that is not only just practicing but profiting off of the suppression of black people, a government that has been, whose school system has been in litigation for having maybe the most segregated school system, one of the most segregated school systems in American history. People say that you can still take this public school system to court and win that same case again. A city in which no police officer has ever been in handcuffs for the murdering or lynching of black people in the streets. Never has happened. And that's who you are getting money from to fund the Juneteenth event. Those are the people that are whose names are at the bottom of that Juneteenth event. The same people who won't even, they put in the names of white men at the bottom of this event, taking money from white men and putting their names down there. White men who won't even say the names of black victims of police terrorism, mass incarceration, and racial injustice in the city. And you got an issue with what I'm saying. And you got an issue with what I'm saying. Ask yourself, in the last year, from last Juneteenth to this Juneteenth, what have you done to make yourself more educated on the struggle that black people, not just going through currently, but have been going through historically? Or what have you done to try to get us further out of that oppression or out of that struggle? What have you done in the last year? Because I'm not talking, and that's the other thing that's happening too. For some reason, we got into a place where black people have forgotten that the root of these issues do not stem from other black people. They stem from white power structures. They stem from white supremacy. They stem from white nationalism. And it's a lot of brothers that's out there that's real comfortable pointing their finger at black people when black people doing things that they think shouldn't happen, or when it's some type of black on black violence, quote unquote, happening, or black on black crime or intercommunity crime happening. But when some white folks do something, they quiet. They quiet. The police do something, they quiet. They quiet. They woofing at home. They woofing in the car. But they won't take that smoke to the power structures that institute that. They won't take that smoke to the white men who get paid and profit off of those things happening to your people. But you will get on Facebook and condemn black people all day, or condemn black communities all day. Maybe say a thing here or there about some white people, but you won't go to the place where you legally have the right to go and petition and protest these white people who are profiting off of these intercommunity violence, these intercommunity struggles. You won't do that. Why do you think that is? That's a slave mentality, where you would check another slave, but you won't go check the overseer, check the slave master. You would check the black person that's serving the food, but and telling you to go to the back to get your food, but you won't check the white person who owned the restaurant. You would check the black person that's selling drugs on the corner, but you won't go check the white man that's getting the drugs shipped in, or check the police officers who okaying for the drugs to get sold in that corner. Or go to the country where the things being planted at or being grown at and check them. You ain't gonna do that. But you would check the lowest man on the totem pole. You will make all these posts condemning gang violence, condemning gangs, but you won't do nothing when the police do something. You won't go to no police station And they out here doing more to your people than any gang has ever or will ever had the capability to do. Than any drug has ever or will ever have the capability to do. Because they the reasons that gang violence is perpetrated in these communities. They the reason that these drugs are perpetrated in these communities. And anybody with any intellect know that. But if you don't know that, you need to go do some research or open up a book, listen to a speech or something, and then come back once you understand that. What is, again, it's multiple Juneteenth events going on all around the city, all around Rockford, all around the area. And then it's one that's being paid for and funded by white supremacists, white nationalists, and bigots. That either two things gonna happen. Either they gonna fund it and put their names at the bottom of it, but not show up when it's time for it to happen, which is just as disrespectful as the fact that they gonna put their names on it and then show up. Your mayor, the mayor that just had somebody black arrested for protesting about black people's memorials being torn down by racist white people, he gonna go walk into the Juneteenth event and be shaking hands and taking pictures with black people, or he just gonna have his name there and not be there? Which one is it? The county board chairman who won't say the name of Faustin Waitigo, who was murdered by his racist, corrupt law enforcement, he won't say his name, but he'll put his name at the bottom of the Juneteenth event, and then he gonna walk in there and shake hands and take pictures with black people, or he just gonna put his name down there as a sponsor or as a supporter and not be there? Which hypocrisy is it? We outside.